$170 million. Poof. Gone in a flash. The new Supergirl movie was supposed to be the glorious, shining savior of the new DC universe. Instead, it just became the biggest, most catastrophic flop of the entire year. But listen closely, because the real story is not the terrible box office numbers. The real story is the absolute betrayal that happened behind closed doors. By the end of this video, you are going to find out exactly who is responsible for turning a potential cinematic masterpiece into a burning, toxic train wreck. And spoiler alert, it is not who the media wants you to think it is. The true villain is hiding in plain sight, and their greedy decision just put the entire future of the DC universe in grave, irreversible danger. But before we rip the mask off the real culprit and expose the massive studio cover-up, do yourself a massive favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like button. We dive deep into the messy, chaotic, and hidden world of comic book movies every single week, and we do not hold back. You do not want to miss the truth. Done. Awesome. Let us step into the disaster zone. To understand this colossal failure, we have to go back to the beginning. The hype was absolutely unreal. When James Gunn took over DC Studios, he promised a new era. No more messy timelines, no more studio interference, just pure, unadulterated comic book magic. And when he announced that Supergirl would be getting her own solo movie based on the legendary comic run, fans lost their minds. Then they cast Milly Alcock. We all know her from House of the Dragon. She has that fiery, intense, undeniable screen presence. It felt like a match made in cinematic heaven. Warner Brothers was so confident, they handed the production a massive budget of $170 million. That is Avengers-level money. That is a budget that demands perfection. So what on earth went wrong? Let us look at the numbers, because numbers do not lie. Opening weekend was weak. It was incredibly soft for a major superhero blockbuster. But in the movie business, a soft opening can sometimes be saved by great word of mouth. Sometimes a movie has legs. Supergirl did not have legs. Supergirl had cinder blocks tied to her ankles. In its second weekend, the movie suffered a catastrophic, historically bad 80% drop at the box office. 80%! Theaters were empty. Tumbleweeds were rolling down the aisles. You could hear a pin drop in IMAX auditoriums. An 80% drop is not just a failure. It is a total and complete rejection by the general audience. People told their friends, stay away, save your money. The first fatal flaw happened months before the movie even hit theaters. It was the marketing. Warner Brothers completely botched the marketing strategy. If you read the source material, you know that Zor-El's story is heavy. It is a gritty, emotional, dark sci-fi western. It is a story about trauma, survival, and finding hope in the darkest corners of the galaxy. But how did the studio market it? They cut trailers with upbeat pop music. They threw in cheap, goofy jokes. They tried to sell Supergirl as a lighthearted, bubbly, teenage coming-of-age comedy. They tried to copy the vibe of Barbie, completely ignoring the fact that they were holding a dramatic, intense space epic. Fans of the comic were confused. General audiences were alienated. Nobody knew what this movie was supposed to be. The marketing promised a fun Friday night comedy, but delivered a confused, gloomy mess. But the marketing is just the surface level of this tragedy. The real rot, the true poison that killed this movie, was brewing deep inside the editing room. Hollywood is a town of massive egos, and this movie had a clash of the titans. On one side, you have the director, Craig Gillespie. He directed I, Tanya, and Cruella. He is a guy who knows how to make edgy, character-driven, slightly unhinged anti-hero movies. He had a very specific dark vision for Kara. He wanted to focus on her pain, her anger, and her deep sense of loss. On the other side, you have James Gunn, the head of the studio, the man building a massive interconnected universe. According to massive leaks from industry insiders, the editing room became an absolute war zone. Gillespie handed in a cut that was deeply personal, slow, and dramatic. But Warner Brothers executives panicked. They saw a dark movie, and they remembered the failures of the past. They demanded action. They demanded universe connections. James Gunn had to step in. He ordered massive reshoots. They tried to forcefully inject lighthearted banter and universe-building cameos into a movie that was never designed for it. The result? result? A Frankenstein monster of a movie. One scene is deeply emotional and heavy, and the very next scene is a slapstick comedy routine. The tone swings wildly back and forth, giving the audience severe whiplash. You can practically see the exact moments where the director's vision was chopped up and replaced by studio-mandated filler. This behind-the-scenes war ruined the pacing, but it gets worse. Much, much worse. We are about to talk about the explosive, unforgivable change they made to the story. A change so bad, it actually insults the fans. But before we expose the ultimate sin the studio committed, take 1 single second to hit subscribe. If you are fascinated by how Hollywood works, and if you love exposing terrible studio decisions, you belong right here in this community. Join the family. Okay, back to the ultimate betrayal. The most heartbreaking part of this entire fiasco is how badly they betrayed the source material. The movie was supposed to be based on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, written by Tom King with breathtaking art by Bilquis Evely. If you have not read it, you need to. It is widely considered one of the greatest Superman family stories ever written. The comic works because it understands the fundamental difference between Superman and Supergirl. Clark Kent was a baby when Krypton exploded. He grew up in Kansas with loving parents. He is the ultimate Boy Scout. But Kara was a teenager. She saw her world burn. She watched her friends die. She remembers the smell of the ash. She carries the profound trauma of an entire lost civilization on her shoulders. The comic is a masterpiece because it tackles that trauma. It is an emotional journey across the stars. It is about Kara learning how to process her rage without losing her humanity. It is poetry. The movie took that beautiful poetry, threw it in a wood chipper, and set it on fire. They stripped away all the philosophical depth. They removed the quiet character-building moments that made the comic special. Instead of a deep dive into her psychology, we got endless, weightless, horrible CGI space battles. They replaced emotional dialogue with generic, loud, mindless action sequences. They thought the audience was too stupid to understand a complex emotional arc, so they just gave us explosions. They turned a profound character study into a mindless video game cutscene, and that brings us to the grand finale, the catastrophic ending of the movie that completely destroyed any chance of success. This is the moment where the true villain of this story is finally exposed. When the movie crashed and burned, the internet immediately started pointing fingers. People on social media tried to blame the lead actress. They said Milly Alcock was miscast. They said she did not have the charm. Let me be incredibly clear right now. Milly Alcock is absolutely flawless in this movie. She is the only shining star in a galaxy of garbage. She acts her heart out. You can see the pain and the power in her eyes. She gave a performance worthy of an Oscar, but she was trapped inside a script written by cowards. Do not let anyone blame her. She is the victim of a system that failed her. So who is the real culprit? Who actually murdered this movie? The blame falls entirely on the cowardly, panic-stricken studio management at Warner Brothers, and their guilt is proven by the final 10 minutes of the film. In the original comic, Kara faces the villain, a monster who has taken everything from her. She has every reason to kill him. She is filled with rage, but she stops. She chooses mercy. She chooses justice. She proves that despite her trauma, she is still a hero. She still wears the symbol of hope. That is the entire point of the story, but the studio executives looked at that ending and they hated it. They thought it was boring. They wanted an edgy, shocking finale to get people tweeting, so they forced a change in the reshoots. In the movie, Supergirl crosses the ultimate line. In a moment of pure anger, she executes the villain in cold blood. She becomes a killer. They thought it would make her look tough. Instead, it completely assassinated her character. It fundamentally broke the core rule of the super family. Fans sat in the theater watching a beloved icon turn into a cynical murderer, and they felt sick to their stomachs. The studio chased a cheap shock value trend, and in doing so, they destroyed the very soul of the character. The executives thought they knew better than the comic book writers, and their arrogance cost them $170 million. But the damage does not stop with Supergirl. This catastrophic failure has sent a massive, terrifying shockwave through the entire industry. The DC universe is bleeding. This was supposed to be a foundational pillar for the next decade of movies. Now, the foundation is cracked, and the panic behind the scenes has reached a boiling point. Warner Brothers is terrified. They are bleeding money, and they are losing faith in the entire connected universe plan. In fact, the situation is so bad that James Gunn's next massive project is currently in the crosshairs. The studio is looking to cut costs, and they are looking at the biggest names. Yes, you heard that right. Because of the Supergirl disaster, the highly anticipated brand new Batman movie, The Brave and the Bold, is currently in extreme danger. There are massive whispers that Warner Brothers is threatening to cancel or permanently shelf the new Batman movie entirely out of pure fear. The Dark Knight might be dead before he even puts on the cowl. We are uncovering the secret memos and the boardroom battles right now. We are making a full deep dive video on the panic at Warner Brothers and the terrifying fate of the new Batman movie. You absolutely cannot afford to miss this. If you want to know if Batman survives this studio meltdown, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it so you do not miss a thing. And to see exactly how bad the Batman situation has gotten, click the video on your screen right now. The rabbit hole goes deeper than you can ever imagine. Click the video and I will see you over there.